Yo, welcome back to another Warzone Top 5 Meta Loadouts. These are some of my personal favorite loadouts to use. The first gun today is going to be the TAC-56. This is a gun that was in the meta for a long time that got kind of pushed out, but it is really good here in Warzone, and especially on a chic island, so let's get into it. So first thing is going to be the muzzle, which is going to be the Hardbanger D20. Sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness. Overall, great suppressor to be able to have on this gun. It is really beneficial. The tune on this thing here is going to be a plus 0.63 and a 0 on the bottom. We do not need to mess with that just because we don't want to mess our bullet velocity or our aiming stability. Next up is going to be the barrel section. We're going to go for the 17.5 Tundra Pro barrel. This gives you that increase to damage range, hipfire accuracy, and of course bullet velocity. You don't necessarily need the barrel, so if you guys want to swap this out for something like an optic, you definitely can, but this is my preference because the iron sights are fantastic on this thing. The tune on that is going to be a plus 0.16 and negative 0.10. After that, we're gonna go down here to the FTAC Ripper 56 for our underbarrel of choice. Aiming idle stability, hipfire accuracy, and of course recoil stabilization. Just gotta stabilize the gun out, make sure we can make this thing as much of a laser beam as possible. The tune on that is going to be a negative 0.36 and a plus 0.19. And then for our other attachment down below, we're going to go for the ammunition, which is going to be the 5.56 high velocity round. So this is going to obviously make sure that your bullet velocity has been increased, making sure that your shots hit faster and harder, which is definitely something we really like. And the tune on this is going to be left at a 0 right there, and then a negative 2.90 to increase our recoil steadiness ever so slightly. And then for our last attachment, we're going to go down here, throw in the 60 round mag. Really can't complain about that. I mean, the 40 or the 60 is going to work out great no matter which you throw on there. 40 is going to give you, of course, a little bit more mobility, but 60 is my preference just because if you're playing trios and quads, something like that, having more rounds in the magazine is probably pretty good. But if you're playing something like solos, 40 is going to work out perfectly fine for you. But this is my full setup. Our next up is going to be probably the best sniper support gun you guys can run in the entire game. This is a really good and fun gun to be able to run. The STB556 is incredibly solid as a sniper support or even as an assault rifle, so let's get into it. So first attachment is going to be the Corvus / Gen Point 2. This is going to give you that muzzle flash concealment and recoil steadiness. This is definitely the best attachment after looking around, seeing all the different testing and everything like that. This is what a lot of people are going to be running with, and I tried it out for myself and it works out really well, so I've been running this. The tune on that is going to be a negative 0.52 and a plus 0.15 there on the bottom. After that, we're going to go ahead and move over up in here to the laser section for the VLK-7MW laser, ADS speed, aiming stability, and of course sprint to fire speed. Really great thing here is we're trying to kind of morph this STB into kind of like a hybrid AR SMG. It's supposed to be kind of like that mid-range, aka it's not really meant to be like for super far range or super close range, but kind of like that hybrid. So this is really going to help us out with that. The tune on that is going to be negative 0.18 and negative 31.26. For our other attachment, we're going to go in here to the optics section to throw on the Cronin Mini Pro. So this is just going to be the best red dot sight you guys can run. There's nothing wrong with any of these other red dot sights here, but to be honest, this is definitely the best one, so we run that. The tune on this is going to be negative 1.74, and then all the way maxed out there on the bottom. Now we're going to go down here, throw in the 42 round mag. Of course, it's the 42 round mag. Got to increase it up from the base 30 to 42. I mean, I'd prefer to have maybe a little bit more like a 45 or like a 50, but that's entirely okay. And then for our final attachment, we're going to go through on the Stip-40 grip, an increase in recoil control because we don't really have an underbarrel, as you guys could tell. And then for the tune on this is going to be a plus 0.58 and a plus 0.30. So this is my full build here for the STB. Great sniper sport gun, really fun to use. All right, well, since I just gave you guys a sniper sport gun, let's actually give you guys a sniper to be able to use. This is a one-shot sniper. This is one of my variants I have saved here, the Victus XMR. So let's get into it. First thing is going to be the Bruin L40 Cobra. Sound suppression, bullet velocity, recoil smoothness, and recoil control. We don't care as much about some of that stuff, but we really do enjoy using the Bruin L40 Cobra. And even if you do get that slight damage range decrease, it's not noticeable at all. It's not like it's going to affect your one-shot range, but this is definitely a really good option. The tune on this is going to be negative 0.50 and a negative 0.13. After that, we're going to go up in here to the barrel section for the Mac 8 21.5 short barrel for the ADS speed and hip recoil control. And then the tune on this is going to be all the way maxed out there on the bottom for aim locking speed and negative 0.12 here on the bottom. Like I said, a lot of the damage range stuff is really not going to make a difference to your one-shot ability. We're just trying to make this thing better than it would be, obviously stock. After that, we're going to go through on the VLK Laser 7MW. You guys kind of know what the VLK does, but this is just to speed up the gun. The tune on that is going to be negative 0.10 and negative 19.74. And then for down below here, this is of course, your must one-shot attachment, which is going to be the 50 cal explosive. So depending on the gun, it's either going to be like an incendiary or an explosive that's going to do pretty much all that sort of damage to make it one shot. So based on whatever gun it is, you're gonna have to use that specific thing. Otherwise your sniper will not one shot, because for whatever reason they don't want to make it like Warzone 1 where a sniper can regularly one shot. But for this gun, it is the 50 cal explosive, and then the tune on this is going to be a plus 0.20 and a plus 2.03. And then for our final attachment, this is my preference on a scope right here, and that is going to be the Luca Bandera scope. So this is a 3.7 to 8 times, kind of gives you that dual zoom. I like to use it on a Ashika Island just because maybe I don't always need that 8 times zoom, but I want something that's going to be a little bit better for close range. So this is going to help me out with that. So I like having that sort of option, but otherwise there's a bunch of different optics in here, and it's not going to make a huge difference. That is a lot more personal preference than really anything else on the gun. The tune on this is going to be all the way maxed out there for flinch resistance, because like Lord knows that, you know, when you're getting shot at, the flinch is pretty bad. And then we just kind of left it right down the middle there, just because I believe where it sits at, you know, stock right now is just perfectly fine. So that's my full builds here for the one-shot Victus XMR setup. Now we're going to move into one of my favorite setups to run on the VASM 9K. This is like the most reliable SMG in the game, short of the Lockman sub. This thing is incredibly solid, and I really love running it. So let's get into it. This is a very high mobility and easy to control build. So first thing in here is going to be the Lockshot KT85 for horizontal and vertical recoil control. Definitely beneficial to be able to run, as this gun will try to bounce around a little bit, especially when you make it more higher mobility, but this is going to help control that quite a bit. The tune on this is going to be a negative 0.46 and a plus 0.15. After that, we're going to go up in here and we're going to throw on the FSS OLE laser, ADS speed, aiming stability, and of course sprint to fire speed. This is pretty much the same thing as the VLK laser 7MW, just a different name. The tune on that is going to be a negative 0.29 and a negative 16.45. Now we're gonna go down here and throw on the 45 round mag. It's only got the base 30, so you gotta throw in that 45 to make it better, you know, for those close range encounters. When you pick up that 30 round, you know, kind of Vaznev off the ground, you kind of feel at a disadvantage because you need more rounds than, you know, in the magazine. So this is definitely gonna be beneficial. After that, we're gonna go up in here and throw on the True Tac grip, sprint to fire speed, aim down sight speed. Pretty standard. It's just gonna make this thing more mobile. The tune on that is going to be a negative 0.35 and a negative 0.15. And then for our final attachment, we get the Broadside FCT stock. So this has been brought to us by the Broadside shotgun. It got unlocked, you know, within the category here for the Vaznev because of that shotgun. So we're running this aiming stability, crouch movement speed, aim down sight speed, and sprint speed. So overall, going to make you so much faster and more mobile. And then the tune on this is going to be a negative 3.23 and a negative 2.01. This is my kind of like my go-to try and true build I run on a lot of my, you know, setups. So definitely try this out. And then for our final gun here today, this is going to be a gun I ran recently in one of my videos. A lot of people were asking about it, and this is actually a really good gun to run here within season 3, and that's the M4. So this gun also, by the way, has a black cell variant, which I do happen to have on right now, but let's get into everything on this. So first thing is going to be the Harbinger D20. You guys kind of know how this thing works. It's just a really great suppressor. We ran this on the TAC 56. After that, or at least for the tune, it's going to be a plus 0.90 and a plus 0.77. And we got up to go up in here to the barrel section. So we have to run a barrel, and that's going to be the High Tower 20 barrel. This is a necessity on pretty much every single, you know, meta M4 build you're going to make. So bullet velocity, damage range, recoil control, and hip fire accuracy is something we definitely need. The tune on that is going to be a plus 0.19 and a plus 0.22. And then we're gonna go down here. We're gonna run the phase 3 grip. So there's a variety of different grips you guys could try out down here, but the phase 3's worked out really well for me. So I got the aiming idle stability here, hip fire accuracy, and recoil stabilization. And the tune on that is gonna be a plus 0.31 and a plus 0.12. And then we're gonna go up in here. We're actually gonna go throw on the AMOP V4. So this has got to be, you know, short of like, you know, the Cronin Mini Pro, the Cronin, this is just like between these two sights, they're just like my favorite to run in the game on a variety of different guns. If it's like an SMG or something, you don't need as much like sort of that range. Throw in like the Cronin Mini Pro if you want to run an AR. Run like the AMOP V4, or just don't run anything at all because the iron sights are good, like in the case of the TAC 56. So this is just such a good attachment right here. The tune on that is going to be a negative 1.65 and all the way maxed out there on the bottom. And for a final attachment, the 60 round mag, which you guys can switch out for the 45, which I have done for solos, as that makes you more mobile. It actually speeds up the reload here quite a bit, especially when you're running fast hands. That's been my full top 5. You guys enjoyed, make sure you give it a like, subscribe, and also check out this other video on screen where I show you guys my best Warzone settings.